Hey y'all, APG Jamie here, and I'm happy that you're here too. So today, I'm here to promote my longtime virtual friend, Belle Group. She's a mixed media artist, pretty good at it. I was honored when Belle asked me to be on her design team. And you bet I jumped at the chance. So, this is my first part of my project. And I'm showing y'all the fun digital kit she provided for me to use. Vintage Love. It's a 16-page kit, and it just so happens to include some English to Dutch words. Y'all know I like the words. So the link to Belle's blog and her shop is below, okay? And her YouTube channel and any other links that I found to her work, okay? Okay. Description box. If I can put any in the upper right-hand corner, I'll do my best to do so. So we are currently seeing the flip through of the Vintage Love kit digital, and I printed front and back on some of them. I printed on copyweight paper with easy on the ink. What is that? Ink save mode. And then I printed on some cardstock, and I printed at the best, and there wasn't much difference on my printer, so you know. And then I got out a couple of sheets of transparencies. So printed on those too. Okay? Okay. So yeah. So I've been thinking about how to make a journal because you know I make thick pages, so they always end up being really thick. Oh, here's the transparencies now. Anyways, I have probably done a stupid thing and decided that this would be the time to make a different kind of journal. So yeah. It's an accordion, but the spine's not attached. It's attached but not attached. It's kind of free floating, kind of. And for this part one, I'm going to walk you through the how I did it. And yeah. Oh, they're on the blog, which comes out on, I believe she puts new postings up on Wednesdays. And my design team videos will go up on the second Wednesday of the month. Just saying. But there are other artists on this design team. So you're going to want to check out the blog so you don't miss any of them. Okay? All right. So, first, I cut out corrugate cardboard. It was probably an Amazon box. And I cut it down to size. What is my size? I don't know because I don't have it in front of me. But it will be listed on the blog. I know. I got the ruler out. This here is going to be the spine. Now the measurements I give you are 1/2 inch wider. Because once I made this and glued it all together, I decided that little 1/4 inch wasn't quite big enough, so you get the better measurements, okay? It still worked, but, you know, better measurement. And this is a cracker box, cereal box, food packaging box, okay? Faux chipboard. And I'm just sanding off the slick surface because sometimes paint doesn't want to stick to slick surfaces. Sometimes glue doesn't want to either, sometimes, okay? I'm going to put the craft color on the outside, so I am pre-folding my little score marks. And I'm not enforcing them with the bone folder, even though it's not a real bone. I'm just folding it with my little fingers, as you can see, okay? It's not a real quick video. And I'm like, yeah, that's going to work. That's fine. It's perfect. It's wonderful. So let's examine it a lot. Okay, so now we're going to make the spine piece. This is the interior spine piece. It's a piece of cardstock. There's a list of ingredients in the description. Did I say that already? I don't know. I might have. If not, they're there. I'll probably tell you again. Remind us. So I'm making 1/2 inch score lines, and then I got a little crooked, so I flipped my piece of cardstock over and started over. Okay? Flipped it over to the other side that wasn't scored yet and started over. I can see now that I'm watching from this angle that I slightly tilted my paper down just a little. So you might want to be careful of that. And I'm just folding back and forth accordion style. Okay. Okay. And I guess I'm going to show you the whole thing. And then I decided, well, wait a minute. How many signatures do I want in this journal? I don't know. So evidently I folded some more. I end up with 5, pretty sure, mountains. Okay? Yep, that's what I'm going with. That right there. So we're going to have 5 mountains and sort of a tab on each end. Okay? See? There's our little tabby thing. Mountains are up, valleys are down. Does it fit within there? Yes. Y'all, I don't tend to make prototypes. I'm special that way. Just get in there and do it. That's what I do. So I'm taking some Elmer's Extreme glue stick, and I'm running that over my corrugate. And if you have directional paper, you may want to pay attention to that. Corrugate can, once it gets bent, you can't unbend it. Okay? So keep that in mind. And isn't that pretty paper? Just saying, pretty paper. And if you, sometimes you're depending on your printer. I have a laser printer, so it's already fancy from the get-go. Anyway, if you print on ink save mode, sometimes your digitals will print out somewhat lighter in colorations, which kind of gives you an almost instant aged look. Okay, just saying. Yeah, ink save. I don't know what your printer would call it. Anyway, trimming around. I am leaving the edges open. I'm not covering the edges. Okay, so you're going to be able to see that it's corrugate. Well, sorta. And I'm like, yeah, I like that. And I'm going to use a different paper for this is going on the inside. These are the insides. Okay. If you've got printing on your box that may show through copy weight paper, you might want to paint it or use a gesso even. Okay. But this is not showing through my paper, or at least not that I could tell. So I'm good with that. Okay. Gonna glue it. My corrugate. I want my corrugate to go up and down. It's going to be a square journal. Okay, now we're taking this paper. I did not trim off the white edge. My printer, as far as I know, I've not been able to figure out how to make it borderless, but I can get a pretty small white border. So if you've got a printer that prints borderless, yay. If you don't, you'll have to trim off the white edge. Well, if it bothers you. If it doesn't bother you, you don't have to trim it off, of course. And try to keep a sharp blade on your craft knife. It just makes cutting a little more better. Okay. And I can't decide if it's in German or Dutch or if those are even the same language, because I'm just a silly American that way. All right? I speak Southern English. Now I'm marking for the inside back cover and the inside front cover. I can get confused fairly easily. And these are little stickies. So, yeah. If you want to protect your paper, I would go over it with with some fluid matte medium that will put a seal coat on your paper. So if you accidentally get something on there, you should be able to wipe it off. I don't promise that you can. So this is the front outside cover, and I am distressing the corrugate. I'm pulling off the outer layer of the corrugate paper to reveal some of the corrugated part, y'all. Okay? You know, just because this is the way I chose to do it doesn't mean it is the only way, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's the right way or maybe even the best way. It's just the way I did it, okay? So peeling it off. It's pretty good corrugate. I'm just saying, it's pretty good. It doesn't want to peel real easy. So I used a pokey tool to get in there and got some tweezers going on. And I want it to look distressed, okay? That's what I want. I'm like, yeah. I don't need a whole lot because it's not a real big book. I think it's about 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. Don't quote me on that. The measurements will be on the blog. I know, it's kind of my trick of getting you to go over and look at the blog so you can see what these other design team artists have done. Okay? Okay. So, that's the front. Evidently, I wanted a little bit more. Sometimes if you dampen, that's dampen, not wet, but dampen, you know, like if you laid a damp baby wipe on there, that outer paper layer will peel up just a little easier. I did really want distressed. So now I've added an arrow so that I know that goes up and down. And now I'm just trimming around for my outside front cover. Yeah, front cover. I can tell because it's got the distressed corrugate on there. And I'm putting glue stick only on the solid portions. I don't want to glue the paper over my distressed area. Okay? Like that. There might be a better way to do this. It's just the way I did it. I'm like, yeah, up or down, up or down. Which way? I don't know. Yeah, that way. Perfect. It's perfect. Okay. And now I'm going to put a hole there so I know that's where I want to start working my front cover paper. I want to distress it so we can see the corrugate. Okay? So we're making like a window. Okay? Think sort of like a window. Now I'm just ripping it around. I'm not being overly careful. If you want your ends, you know, your little edges to like curl up, you can do that. Just kind of curl it and don't glue it down. Okay? Remember, we didn't put glue stick on this area. All right? And I'm thinking, yeah. And that's my inside cover. And now I'm going to trim just a little bit around with the scissors. I know. You know, the video is sped up slightly. I'm really pretty slow at doing stuff. Almost painfully slow. Okay. I'm like, yeah. That's making me so stinking happy. So now I'm going to glue down these little loose edges. You don't have to if you don't want to. Okay? But I wanted to. Oh, and we just pulled that one off because I'm like, oh, yeah. Because you can still do that. And you also want to check around all your whole perimeter to make sure that you do have all those outside edges glued down. Now we're going to get out the Distress ink in Scorched Timber because it's like my favorite is inking color these days. For going around the outside like the trailer park girls. And we're inking and inking. And yeah, you could make the little window aperture part before you glue it on if you want to. And that way you could ink around it more easilier. So I'm like, yeah, it's like perfect. I love it. And now this is the outside back cover. Okay. Am I going to flip it over and make sure I have it straight up in that? Yes, I did. It's kind of quick, but still. Okay. Now, one of the things I've learned with glue stick, now I'm not a real big glue sticker person, okay, is you want to burnish that stuff. All right, you do. If you want to use wet glue, use wet glue. If you want to use double-sided tape, by golly, use double-sided tape, okay? Now, this size journal is not necessarily the most efficient size to use for digital prints, because I'm special and I like to do things the difficult way. Okay? All right. So we've established that. Okay, here comes the spine with 5 mountains. I'm going to put a strip of wet glue on the one side of the first mountain, not the tab part that my thumb is on, but the mountain. These are my signature pages. I have some old giant legal recording book, or a legal recording book. It had like 80 pages. It had a million pages. I don't know how many pages. And I used one of those sheets and cut it down to size. Okay. Now I want to leave hair, just a sliver, a 1/16 of an inch gap between the actual fold and where I glue the page. Okay. Now I'm going to glue on the back side, or the right side. The first glue was on the left side. This glue is going on the right side of the same mountain. We will come back and glue the pages together in a little bit. Okay. Just running a bead of glue. Again, I'm going to make sure that my paper does not go all the way down. Oh, I got to take pictures for the blog. Y'all, this is my first time for having to do all this stuff. I know. It's crazy. So, I'm lining up. Evidently, I wanted to use this side of the paper. Lining it up on my outside corners, and that should slip in and allow like an 1/8 or 1/16 of an inch, 1/32. I don't know. All right, so now we've got 2 pages, and now we're going to go to the next mountain, and I'm going to run a bead of glue there, and I'm trying to take a picture so they can see the glue. I don't know. Oh, I hope they're good enough, because I can't go back and retake them, I'm sorry. So, gluing that on. Yes, I could have used the designer digital paper for this, but I didn't. Okay? I know. Difficult. Anyway, lots to choose from over there. She's got stencils and washi image stickers, and I believe she has started making rubber stamps as well. I've not received that yet, but they're coming. So be on the lookout for those. So I'm lining up my outside edges, and then my inside one should pretty well slip right into place. Y'all, ruler work was kind of important. Okay, now see how it's coming out? Okay, so we finished gluing those. Oh, I got one more. I'm showing you one more. Okay, this is the last page. So I got 5 mountains, which gives me 10 pages, one on each side, right? Right, okay. There we go. It's still accordion. The accordion is not glued together. Okay? I know. In my head, this is going to be brilliant. I'm happy with how the book came out, how the journal came out. Now, I'm making pockets. You don't want to, you don't have to. Do you want a side loading pocket or a top loading pocket? Well, I'm going to do both. I'm going to do some side loads and some top loads. Now I'm being fancy, y'all. You see me getting my centering ruler out. I'm going to put some thumb notch. And the first page in this book is going to be a side loading pocket. So I've got my 2 pages together. I'm punching. You can glue and then punch if you want. Or you can punch and then glue. And I'm going to put glue across the top, because that's the top part of the journal. Okay. And that's the bottom of the journal. And then the notch is on the leading edge. Oh, I don't know what that's called. It's on the outside edge. Okay. Smooshing it down. Art glitter glue grabs pretty quick. Okay, and I would use a wet glue because, or a glue stick, on account of if you use double-sided tape, sometimes the stuff you put in and out of pockets will stick to the double-sided tape. So again, I'm centering up for my thumb notch, and this is going to be on the top of the page. So I'm gluing the bottom of the page and the side, gluing the pages together, and now I'm going to punch. You can, you know, it should work either way. I'm measuring for center because I was being fancy. I'm like, how far in did I go again? Okay, that far. Because I'm trying to be fancy, y'all. And informative. Okay? I'm not necessarily neither or both. Okay, so I think I got all my notches in and all my pages glued together, and as you can see, it's still very open. Okay, so now here's my inside back, and here's my inside accordion part. We're going to glue that to the inside back cover. I decided to take just a sliver of the corners off. I don't know, it looks a little nicer. I don't think I put that on the blog, but that's our secret, okay? You don't have to do it. You don't have to if you don't want to. Okay, now that's the little tab on the accordion part. It's going to go on the inside back cover, and I'm putting the glue on the little tabby part. And somebody else could have definitely made journals like this before. Okay? It's just something that's been going around in my head. I know. Yeah, it's special that way. So now I'm gluing it on. I'm lining it up. I have a slight reveal on the top and bottom. And then I think on the inside, on the edge of the journal, there's going to be a slight reveal as well. Okay, now here comes the front one. Got our glue on our little tab part. Front inside cover is going to stick to that. Okay, up and down. Yeah, I got that arrow on there. I'm telling you, doesn't take much for me sometimes, especially when I'm trying on these new things and I don't know what I'm doing, taking a picture. I don't know, one-handed picture could happen. So now I'm going to stick that down. I'm tamping it down, lining all my sides up, and the little spine piece should line up pretty good, which it did. And I'm rubbing it and burnishing it, I guess I should say, not rubbing. See how it's nice and loosey-goosey? Okay, this is the outside. I painted the inside where the print was, but I didn't show you that part because, the video's really long already. Well, it's not really long. It's just kind of long. So that's going on the inside, and that's the little fold over. Okay, and that's going to go on the outside of the cover. Okay, that's where I left you a 1/2 inch on the measurements. Okay. Because this really is, well, it works. It worked at 1/4 inch, but it was kind of fiddly because I had to hold it longer because it didn't want to stick real good because there wasn't much to glue on 1/4 inch, just saying. So now here we're taking a picture. Yeah, I'm taking a picture. I guess I could have tried to cut it out, but, I probably did try to cut it out. Okay, here comes the glue. Putting it on that little fold over part on this outside spine, and gonna stick it down. Now because it's not a firm spine, it's giving me a fit, which that 1/2 inch will come in more handy. So now I'm trying to hold it and glue it. Do I get some Ellie Mays out? I don't remember if I got Ellie May out. I probably did. I don't know, probably did, but I'm trying to make sure it's nice and glued. Okay. I know you would think I would use more of that designer paper, but I didn't. Not yet. We got couple more parts coming up next month and the month after. Okay, so there we go. See how it's nice and flippy floppy? Okay. Now, it's going to take it a little while to decide that it's a journal because the papers don't know it's a journal yet. All right? So, I decided I wanted to make a little pretty something on the cover. So, I got out a piece of the digital, and I'm just going to use my ruler to tear it out. I'm not being real precise. There is a shape that's already on there. It's kind of hard to see on my little editing screen. Maybe you can see it on the bigger screen. And so I'm kind of following that around. All right. This image looks like it originally had some mica glued across the top and then a feather. Anyway, that's what I wanted to use. And I want my distressed area to be viewable, but not necessarily, you know, I don't know. I fiddle around with it. Oh my God, it's going to go on there. It's going to go there. Tear off just a little bit more. A little bit more. Okay, yeah. Do we ink? Yes, we do. Scorched timber to the rescue. Sped up a little bit more. Okay. Okay. Lovely papers, just saying. You can print on really cheap copy weight paper, and it gives you a really nice antique vintage feel. That's what I'm going for. So I wanted this to be shiny because it did look like it originally had mica on there. I don't have any mica, but anyway. Went over it with gloss varnish because I wanted it shiny. And now I decided I want to tear out my word. That word right there in Dutch and or German, I don't know which language it is. I'm so sorry. It says hug. That's what that word is. So this is a little hug journal. And after I finished, making this part, I thought, well, how appropriate is that? It's full of pockets. You know what pockets are? They're like little hugs. They hold you together. Hold your stuff in there. It's a hug. So it wasn't shiny enough, so I got out some embossing ink and clear embossing powder, and we're going to emboss that. Grabbing it with the tweezers, which is not always an easy thing to do. And we're going to get the heat gun out any day. You ready? Heat gun, y'all. It's off screen. You can't hardly see it, really. Not really. Can you see the powder melting? It's like magic. The magic of the heat gun. And I think I go over a couple of other areas, re-dipped it, and it stuck to what was melted. I would use the word dry, but it doesn't dry because it's not wet. It's melted, and welted stuff doesn't dry. It sets. Okay? Here we go. Okay. And then I thought, well, there's feather on it. I need to get a feather. So I have these feathers I bought from somewhere. And it happened to have these colors in there. And I'm like, well, how serendipitous is that? So, little piece of cheesecloth. Again, it's got the right color on it. I tell you what, I'm telling you, serendipity everywhere for me, all the time. And that is just copy weight paper. So we're smearing some tacky glue on there. Aleene's original tacky glue. Love that stuff. It's my favorite. Got to wait on it. Because, it's best to do that. And then I thought, oh, my word. Let me put my word on there. Got to put my hug on it. Got to hug it up. Hug it up. Getting the tweezers. Oops, wrong way. Flip it around. Put it on there. Smoosh it down. Put some weight on it. Okay. Now I'm taking another sheet of designer paper from the digital, and we're going to trim it up. I didn't measure this because I wanted, it's a wallpaper like design. It's really pretty. And anyway, I'm measuring it out. It's going to be a little long, so I'll have to come back and trim off one little tick mark. I believe is what I trimmed off. Because I want the 2 stripes right on the spine. And I don't know how much reveal I have on the front and on the back. Okay, now we're taking off a little tick mark. That was a tick mark. Yeah, now it's perfect. Oh, yeah, it's perfect. I want just a little more off the back. Okay. And that's perfect. I'm going to use some wet glue on this because our spine comes around, and where the height difference, you know, the thickness difference, I want the paper to form into that. So here I'm rounding the corners, and sometimes when you're using copy paper, it's much easier to use a corner rounder on lightweight paper if you have another piece of paper or a piece of cardstock behind it. So that's what I'm using. Piece of cardstock, and I'm rounding the corners. Okay, I'm going to use that piece of cardstock again momentarily because now we're going to ink it. All right. And I'm going to use that piece of cardstock as support behind the paper and just button it up there on the edge and the rounded corners and just inked all around it. Now I'm going to use my tacky glue. I'm going to smoosh it all out with the little silicone brush and smooshing it. You don't have to have a whole lot of glue, but you want it damp because we're going to form fit that around the spine, okay? Okay, I'm going to stand it up. I want the one reddish flower on the front, trying to center it. It's not straight lines, but I'm still trying to center it, okay? It's like perfect, y'all. I'm like, y'all. If I'd have tried to plan this more butter, it wouldn't have worked. Anyway, seat of my pants. That's how I fly. I'm going to burnish it down. You want to be careful because your paper is damp and you don't want to rip it. Okay? Mold it in around there because it's nice and damp, so it's going to fit in there just fine. I'm smooshing it over that little edge, and we're going to do the same on the back. Back might have a little bit more side paper on it at the front. That's okay. And it's really best to wait till it's all nice and dry before you ink it. But, you know, that's not my style. I'm like, get on with it, girl. So we inked it up with our little scorched timber. And here's our little flip-flop part. Okay. Check out the blog for measurements. It's all nice and dry. I'm like, oh, y'all, that looks good. How fun is that corrugate look? Yeah. I don't know if I need a closure yet. We'll wait on that part, okay? So, it lays pretty flat. It hasn't learned that it's a journal yet. It'll catch on. Takes a while. And I noticed that the ink on these papers, you know, because it's a, you know, from a big real estate book is what it was for recording documents. When it gets wet, it looks like it's going to bleed. So we'll get that too. And here we go. The journal. Ta-da! Photo montage. Okay, I know I've said it, and I'll say it again. List of ingredients in the description box below, along with all the links to Bell Group. Okay? Please visit the blog because it's going to have measurements and it's going to have information about the other design team members. Okay? Okay. Coming up next, we will be filling the pockets and decorating pages. I don't know which when. Okay, well, second Wednesday. Thanks for watching and happy arting, y'all.